So this meeting is recorded?
Great. All right, well, welcome aboard, and today we're going over Smart Notebook. Smart Notebook is designed to interact with our smart boards in our classrooms. It's a program that gives you tools to write on not just Notebook, but any other programs like Internet on your smartboard. And it also gives us interactive features, which gives it a few benefits that you might not see if you're using other programs, because again, it's designed to be integrated. So if you open Smart Notebook, a couple things to note. One way that Notebook is similar to PowerPoint is that it works on pages or slides, and you will get pages and slides. You can see them off to the left side once you open Notebook, and you can create as many of those within a file as you want. You do that simply with a plus sign up at the top, and let's see if I can make that a little bigger for you all. But a plus sign, just simply click it and you can have as many pages as you want in your presentation. We have, much like other programs, it's going to be tough on me today, there we go. We have a menu bar across the top, and like a lot of our office programs that you're familiar with, you'll see many of the same types of options. Under File, you can open files you've already created or start a new file. You can also import files if you wanted to take something like a PowerPoint and turn it into a notebook file. They make that pretty easy for us. This is where you find functions such as save and also things like export. Notebook files can be converted to images and PDFs that make them a little more universal if you want to share them with people who maybe don't have the notebook program. And again, much like our other office programs, we've got undo buttons. We can delete pages, you can insert, but most of the main functions you'll use are also found on this toolbar or menu bar, and this is your contextual toolbar, they call it. But this is nice because it's icon based, so it's really easy to see. You've got your save button, you've got a forward and back button to move you through your slides, you have an undo button. Save is very important. Some people get confused with their Smart Notebook files. You can save them in your H drive or your OneDrive, just like a Word file or just like a PowerPoint file. You give them a name and tell your computer where to save it, and then you can open those on other computers that have Notebook. We also have a View button where you can change how your program is displaying on the screen. And you can do dual display, lets you show 2 pages at once. We have screen captures. There's a lot of advanced tools up here. We won't have time to go through them all today, but it is good to note that we have math tools, and we also have response in our newest version. Some of the basic functions that we use are over here. You can do things like create shapes, and these are so like our programs that we're familiar with. It's easy to do. If you want to create a shape, if we want to get ready for Valentine's Day, you can simply click on the shape that you like, and then with a click and drag, you can make your shape as big as you want. One thing that's hard to remember with Smart Notebook is you always have to go back to your select or cursor button, which is top center. So after I create my heart, I'll actually just keep creating hearts until I'm done, and then I have to go select to cursor. But if I want to change the size of my hearts or anything like that, you can select objects in Notebook simply by clicking on them. And again, much like the other programs, you can drag the corner to make it smaller or larger. Also, when you select any object in a Smart Notebook page, you'll get a drop-down menu. The drop-down menu is really the same as right-clicking on the object. Right-clicking will get you the same options. But this is where you can do things like you can clone an object. So if you need multiple hearts all the same, or if you need to cut or copy an object, you can reach those options from the drop-down menu. An infinite clone lets you create as many of those objects as you want. So I just right-clicked and made this smaller heart in an infinite cloner. Now, just to go crazy, I can go back to this original heart and drag as many as I want. And that's used a lot with games in Smart Notebook. For example, if I was doing like a Connect 4 game, I could have a checker on my board, and every time the team gets a new checker for their draw 4, they can just drag one down instead of creating a new one. You can also change the properties of these objects using that drop-down arrow. Again, same as a right click. And when you click properties, you get some options off to the left on your sidebar, and I can do things like change the color. So if I wanted an orange heart, I can do that over here. And you can get fancy and do gradient fills. A lot of people do these on their PowerPoint slides. You can select multiple colors to make it very fancy and pretty. You can even fill with an image if you wanted to fill that heart with a picture of me or someone you love to get fancy. I also want to draw your attention to the sidebar. Off on the left, you have several tabs that are very important. The top tab is your slide sorter view. It allows you to see the different pages in this notebook file, so that lets you easily navigate. The tab that looks like a picture is called the gallery. This is where you can access things like clip art or images to add to your pages. And I'm going to come back here in a minute to point out the lesson activity toolkit for you. Attachments lets you take other files or videos to add to your presentation. You can combine multiple files all into one notebook, which is a great organizational tool. Probably something you'll use a little bit more at the beginning if you're just getting started with Notebook is this tab that has the A in the color block. They call this the Properties tab, and this again is where I can select an object and change the line style. I can animate it. If you like to play with animations in PowerPoint, same idea. I can make this heart flip around, and it's going to flip. I tell it when it's clicked. So now if I click on this heart, I made it flip. I'm actually going to change my display back to full screen so you guys can see a little better instead of two. That's not what I wanted. Sorry, single display. But when you're showing notebooks to your students, that's when you can go full screen. It gets rid of that toolbar off to the left. You can still navigate between your slides. You get this little floating toolbar when you do that. But it gives you a little more landscape showing things to your kids. This puzzle piece are different add-ons, and this is a little bit more advanced. If you want to come back for our session in 2 weeks, we can go over some of these. And the gold icon that looks like it has a little calculator on it, that's for Smart Response. This is the part of the software that lets us use our clickers. And if you're not familiar with those, I'd love to show you someday. They're a great tool for gathering formative assessment. But one of my favorite things about Notebook, if you are a beginner, if you haven't had a lot of time to play with it, is what's called the Lesson Activity Toolkit. And to access this, we're going to go back to the gallery, which again looks like a photograph or a painting. And you can search for anything in the gallery. If I wanted to find Cupid, so apparently I'm in a Valentine's mood, I can search Cupid, and it breaks down my responses on the left. It breaks down the search results into different categories. So I can look for a folder and it tells me it has Valentine's Day things. If I just need clip art, here's clip art of Cupid, and if I want to use that, you can simply double click on it to add it to your page. You can also drag it if that's easier for you. Notebook gives you lots of options. And then I have another result with themes. So if I wanted to change the background of my page, Notebook does offer some basic backgrounds and themes, and I can simply double click on that. And now this little Cupid, you can see he's a little transparent. They made it a background made for me to put things over. That automatically goes on my page. The activity toolkit is something one day when you're in front of the TV, you might just want to wander through. This has activities that are designed to get students to the board, and they're pre-made for teachers. All you do is add your own content. So if I click on Lesson Activity Toolkit, I can go to Interactive and Multimedia, and this looks really big, but it's not. It actually has the same things in like 6 different colors. I'm going to create a new page to give us some blank space, but these have things, again, it is made to make your kids get to the board so you can see how they're doing and so they can try some fun things. So I just grabbed this blue category sort image and I dragged it to my page, and again, these are pre-made. They all have an edit button on it. An edit button allows teachers to add your own content to it. What I would do on this one is add pictures because it is an image, and I would tell it what 2 categories I want to use. So Linda, I believe if I remember right, you do music, you're a choir teacher, and maybe you would have, I'm not sure why you would have to categorize by order in choir, but maybe you have sopranos and altos. And down here would be pictures, and the students would come drag these into the correct category. And they also have a check button, so when you're done, the students can press check, and it'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Obviously, there's nothing in that. But these are things that you can edit in a matter of like 5 minutes to give you something to get your kids to the board and help them get involved in the classroom and help you understand what they're doing. There are so many of these that are matching. You can simply have definitions with matching. This is the keyword match, and again, it's for your content area. So when I click edit, I can type in my definitions and my vocabulary for whatever I'm teaching at this time. And once I'm done, it'll have these here where your students can drag them back and forth. So that's a super brief overview of Notebook. You two, again, I think you're pretty familiar with it, so if you have specific questions, feel free to stick around. We're a little over our time limit today, which we try not to do. But if you do need help with Notebook, or if you want to get into some more of the in-depth features, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a little bit more of an advanced Notebook session. And if you want some more help with anything we went over today, feel free to email me or give me a call.